Hey everybody, welcome back. Today I'm taking a look at Hokuto no Ken 6 and 7 for the Super Famicom. Released in 1992 and 1993, both games were developed and published by Bandai. And both games are great examples of how not to make a fighting game. Both are substandard in pretty much every way, and before I go on, I'll just iterate that this footage has not been altered. The movement in these games is just that jerky. Seeing as how Hokuto no Ken 5 and 6 were released only months apart, it's pretty obvious that the success of Street Fighter 2 made Bandai switch this series from RPGs to 2D fighting games, even though they apparently didn't have any programmers that really knew how to make one. Hokuto no Ken 6 is kind of odd in that it doesn't really feature any Street Fighter style special moves. Instead, special attacks can only be performed when one or both of your power meters is full. One is filled up by landing attacks, and the other you charge yourself by holding down the R button. The attacks are performed by simply pressing the L button by itself, or in combination with the face button, and each character has a few special moves available to them. Other than that, this is a typical substandard 2D fighter with bad controls, stiff movement, and pretty bland graphics. The soundtrack is half decent, but that's about it. It's certainly not worthy of the Hokuto no Ken license, which you'd think would be a lock for a good fighting game. Hokuto no Ken 7 is actually worse than 6, if you can believe that, mostly due to the god-awful controls. The control scheme itself is simple enough. The face buttons are your 4 attack buttons. The R button performs a power block that's needed to block against special attacks, and it's limited by the power bar underneath your health bar. And this time around, special attacks are performed more or less in the manner used in Street Fighter. The gameplay itself, though, is super jerky. The controls are unresponsive and really delayed, and overall this is just a mess to play. On top of that, the CPU is frustratingly cheap. They'll pretty much just spam special moves that eventually you can't block anymore when your block meter runs down. Again, I have to assume that this game was put together by a group of programmers who were trying to recreate Street Fighter 2 but didn't really know how to program a fighting game. Either that, or they were only given a weekend to put this thing together. So, in my humble opinion, these are the 2 worst games based on Hokuto no Ken that I've ever played. These are the kinds of games that as soon as you start playing them, you're immediately hit with the realization that you're playing a really crappy fighting game. It's a similar feeling to playing one of the crappy Mortal Kombat knockoffs from the mid-90s, like Kasumi Ninja or Way of the Warrior. I bought these games only because I'm a huge fan of the series and didn't know what I was getting myself into. My advice: pass on these games. There are other Hokuto no Ken fighting games out there that I guarantee you'd much rather play.